Mortal. Arise, my children.
Temple tears.
Feed.
Tight tears. Heal and fight on.
Your soul.
Struggle or strangle.
Kulamak. Feel death's grip. Mortal.
All right, I just want to do an update where we're at with the league here. Here we are. This is my Bama character, and all of the gear is self-crafted. Bow is self-crafted. This took about, I want to say, like 15 to 20 divines to create. The base itself was around 8 or 9, and then the rest was it was just buying the essences. I settled for T2 lightning, which I'm kind of pissed about. I should have just kept going to T1, but I didn't have enough money to keep going at the time, so I was like, I'll just settle for T2 here, and then crafting the rest of it, which was pretty easy. Honestly, the most annoying thing about crafting the bow is the colors. Just trying to get the colors is just kind of annoying. You normally would have another red socket, I believe, so it's just all off-color sockets. But nonetheless, here we are. The way that I've built it is with Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow of Prismatic Clones. And I didn't know this because you can use 2 different ones. So Blink Arrow of Bombarding and Mirror Arrow of Prismatic. If these were both bombarding, then they would share the 3. But because they're different, you can have 6 clones up, which greatly increases your DPS, single target DPS. It kind of fucks your clear up, but you know, your damage at this point of investment is so high on Blink Arrow that it doesn't really matter. You know, you rather have the single target anyway because this is more of a bossing build. I also had a Pericle's Toe with additional curse, but I ended up selling that because it was right when I started building this build. And I was like, I'll just sell it because I'll just buy one later. But I do regret that because, yeah, I already had one. And it's obviously like 20, 30 divines worth. It's a very expensive item. But whatever, you know, that it initially funded the first investment of the build. Mage Blood with it is not needed. This is actually not even optimal. The Darkness Enthroned with 2 really good jewels is really what you want in endgame. I'm just using because I got it from someone, and I might as well put it on. It just makes gearing a lot easier. Boots were all crafted. Gloves are probably the weakest item here. It's just life and res. These are the next piece of gearing that I have to craft. I just finished crafting the quiver here, which you just take an essence. You keep slamming until you get, essentially you need the fracture, and then you take the lightning damage essence. You keep going until you hit like T2 or something. And then you do cannot roll attacks, and then hopefully you hit a high roll life or a high roll damage. And if not, then you keep going. This was very expensive just to hit this, mainly because you have to cannot roll attacks, and that's 1 divine each. And if you get, you know, if you miss it, or you know, the chances are you're gonna miss, you're gonna get a lower tier that you don't want, then you have to annul it. And if you annul it, you can annul off the cannot roll attacks, which means you have to spend another divine. So this was about 20 to 25 divines just for this. This is obviously not, you can go to T1 on both life and damage. You also don't want that attack speed roll, so this is something that's not even done. This is going to end up probably being one of the most expensive items on the gear, surprisingly enough. It's easy to craft, it's just expensive. It just takes a lot of currency or just getting lucky. I do want to get a +1 4th vow, so I'm going to work on that. I've been doing Alvas, and I'm just going to buy a bunch of these and then just try to double corrupt them myself. You know, hopefully hit like a +3 or +2 or something like that, but even just a +1 is good. For higher Spectre and higher Animate Guardian. This I did not craft. I bought this. There seems to be some cool way to make these rings because this was only like 5 divines. And it's all T1. So I'm assuming there's some really easy way to make these minion rings in the graveyard. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I just bought this for 5 divines. I was like, what? This is crazy. So yeah, these minion rings are pretty cool. This I crafted myself, and the rest of the gear is good. Now the real money that's being spent is not really on the gear. So this is an expensive character, but that's kind of why I wanted to play. I wanted something that just constantly you can invest in and squeak more DPS out of. This is an adorned build. Where is it? This is an adorned build. I only have a 128 charm here, which costs like 25 divines at the time. You can get another 30%. Well, this is technically a 130, so you can get another 20% of each jewel here. So there's a lot of damage that I am missing here. But I'm probably not going to get the 150 just because, you know, when I look on my POB, it does equal a good amount of DPS, but not enough to warrant, you know, a 50 divine charm. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what goes on with this. But it is an adorned build, so making these is what you want. So you want T1 flat lightning and T1 minion damage, right? And they need to be corrupted. And as you can see, these jewels alone go for 20 divines each, okay? And the reason why they're so high is because these are, I mean, it's an adorned build, right? And these are not very common mods that go together. And I have a bunch of them. So I have one here. I have one here. No, this one I don't have. This one can get upgraded. This one I'm just putting in place because I need to make another one. We have one here. We have one here. And that's it. And I think that's it. Oh, and we have one here, right? All three of these, or all four of these, were crafted by me. I crafted these. I got very lucky and hit every single one of these. I did not buy one of these charms. This is T2, so this can get upgraded. Some of them are T2. But yeah, I got really lucky with some of those. Otherwise, that's another 100 divines right there, and just in jewels, plus the 50 divines if you wanted the 150 or the 25 for this. So you can see the jeweling is really where the money starts to come into play. This alone is like a 10 divine cluster if you need this. And you want this specific layout. This is why it's so expensive. You want the Vicious Bite here, where a lot of the time the Vicious Bite will be here. You don't want that. You want it here. And then you can also get the 12-point cluster. I find the 12-point cluster actually, in terms of DPS, is like 1% better. But it also requires a lot more points. Right, so you miss out on a lot of life. You also miss out on like extra jewels. I can get one here. This would also require me to take this jewel out and put a green dream because I'd need to drop this whole thing here. And I just found this was just the better option for now. And I did see that Previ kind of did the same, and that's why I was like, all right, I'll just go with this option. But like this thing with minions is what I'm realizing is like all of these little compromises do add up. Like this is a compromise. This T2 here is a compromise. This 128 is a compromise. You know, this T2 is a compromise. Not having the extra curse here is a huge compromise. This T2 increased damage bow with skills, that's a compromise. All these compromises do add up, and they end up being like a very significant portion of damage once it's all together. And that's kind of the thing that I've like realized the most about these like minion or just like min-maxed builds that really require pushing that 0.1%, that last 0.1% up. That's where most of your damage is coming from. And when we look at the POB, actually let's just head over to the POB now. When we look at the POB, we can see that when these compromises add up, you get like so much more damage there. So we can see here, like this is the end game POB that I have spec'd here. It's around 200 million DPS, pretty good EHP, but it's really the DPS that I'm really trying to push really high here. You can see the Darkness Enthroned. You get the additional curse here. This is with the same kind of gearing here. The quiver I think is perfect though, and the rest of the gear is just like slightly tweaked. It's really just like the compromises in just like getting all perfect jewels and yada yada. But when we look at like where we're at originally, we can see like we're about like halfway there, and we're nearing like this like last little push. So it's really just like these little compromises that kind of add up to create like really big DPS numbers. And yeah, like we can do double clusters. There's so many different things we can do. You know, the perfect jewels, getting that extra curse is really going to be a lot of damage. Yeah, the survivability of having like a +4 in power here with a, you know, a +2 chest or something like that. Like, you know, one of the problems that I've been having with this build in particular is just keeping this fucking animate guardian alive in T17s, which is why I wanted to create this character. I just wanted to like blast T17s, and it's been great, but keeping the animate guardian alive in T17s has been a nightmare, and it makes me scared of putting like a kingmaker on him. Right now I'm using an ephemeral garb, a dying breath, the scorched boots, leer cast, nothing really expensive on him, regular just rare gloves with lightning exposure and some extra chaos res. I'm using an arena master, and I was using a war caller. The war caller it's so squishy. Anything that is like less than 400% increased life is just extremely squishy. And yeah, the arena master has been great. It hasn't died once, but everything else has kind of been lame. So I just went with the host charge for power charges. We're getting frenzy charges from crits on this, and it is enough to sustain. Like, I do account for just one charge of each, but we do get a couple other charges as well. You know, one of the reasons I was like, let's get away from pressing a ton of buttons after that melee build. Let's do something like strong, something that's going to be able to, we can just kind of sit back and just watch our damage, you know, deal our damage. This is not the build, okay? You have to press your blink. You have to press your blink arrows. You have to press your mirror arrows. You have to press your haste. You have to convocate because you're an enemy guardian and losing life because you're in a T17 and they're fucking ridiculous. You have to press your explosion here, your spirit offering. You have to send out your sentinel radiance. You have to self-cast a curse. So this ends up being a ton of buttons as well. But it is much more, because it is a minion build, a lot of times you're not really doing all that. You can be a lot lazier with this build and still be doing like incredible DPS. You don't have to be as active to keep up an adequate amount of damage like you do with melee. Melee requires you to do all of that stuff. Normally I just blink arrow through packs. Let's just do a map, okay? Let's just do like a nice map. I don't have any T17s, unfortunately. Might have some footage for you, but let's just load up a map, and then I can just kind of show you the character here. I really also enjoyed the process of not really worrying too much about how to build the build. Oh, this is actually my T17 atlas that I just put in, but it's okay. Yeah, you know, having someone else figure that build out for you and then just kind of figuring out little ways that you can do it has been fun. It's just been like nice to like kind of take a little break here. Oh, this is a thing here. Let's just kill this just for the sake of the video. Yeah, normally this is how I work. I just like right click, drop my blink arrow guys, and then just kind of plow through the map, and they just kind of take everything out. I'll press haste and I'll press my spirit offering from time to time, but for the most part, this is what you're doing. Everything just pretty much dies around you, and it's really nice. And then you get to a boss, and then you just kind of obliterate him in like 2 seconds. Not even 2 seconds. What was that? 0.5 seconds. And then with T17s and Ubers, they've been great too. No issues there. Well, I went with the Guardian version just because I wanted something tank. I just didn't want to die anymore. That melee build really just kind of, you know, you appreciate not dying in certain things. And so I was like, I'll go with the lesser DPS, slightly more difficult to gear in the end game Guardian offering rather than a Necromancer. And I'm glad I did, because the survivability, not dying, mixed with good DPS. You know, I was looking at the numbers between the two, and Necro does get a lot more damage, but I don't really care to have like overkill damage. I want enough damage to basically, I think 150 million end game DPS, 150 to 200 million end game DPS. I think that's perfectly adequate. You know, the Necro can get higher, but I think that's enough for me for having like really good EHP. So that's why I went with this variant here. So that is the yeah, that's the Bama build. That's what I've been playing recently, having a good time. Probably going to do another build, okay? Because we did a couple things here, all right? So since the last video, we've had some crazy things happen. First off, today, as I filmed this earlier today, I dropped a headhunter from what are they called? One of those Voidborn things. I dropped a fucking headhunter in them. So I could make a headhunter build. But what I also did, I did this.
May the shine of Solaris burn away your anguish and aid this soldier, so that you can sever the threads of corruption!
Oh my fucking god. I did it. That is an all T1. This is like an insane item. I just could not believe that this item hit. So it's all T1, T1 physical, T1 bleed damage, T1 attack speed, and T1 dot multi, okay? So this is just an insane item. I was really just hoping to get all T1s, possibly maybe even compromise on a T2 hybrid roll. What I was not expecting was to get the T1 attack speed with the I wasn't expecting to get the T1 attack speed with the T1 dot multi. That was just not in the cards. So having a crazy bleed axe kind of makes me want to maybe make another bleed character. I'm not sure here. We'll see, because this axe definitely means that we can be a little bit more forgiving with what we need to do to get really good DPS. But this was awesome. This was a fun little hit, and we also have the headhunter now. We have everything we need. We just need some money so we can build another character, which is, you know, in this league it's very easy to make money. I found that any farm that you do ends up making money in some way. You can go like extreme high-end value and like doing a bunch of crazy stuff with all flames, or you can just fucking farm essences, or you can just farm harbingers, or you can just farm blight, or you can just farm maps, because maps are very valuable, or you can just farm expedition, which is what a lot of my money has come from, is just from expedition, or you can just farm alva. I found that alva with deli, one of my atlas strats here is alva with deli is reaping lots of value. And I think this is a pretty, maybe I'll just do a video on this in itself, but Alva shits out a lot of gear now. And not only that, but it also, just like every 4 maps, you pretty much almost guaranteed every 4 maps make around 100 C, okay? Just because of, where is it? Just because I've been finding that it's very easy to get Locus of Corruption and Dorianis on your things here. Plus, you can also spit out 2 of them with the fragment, which is what I haven't done yet. I haven't used this fragment yet, or this scarab yet, where this gives you an extra one based on your layout. So I'm very curious to see like how much value this also adds. But like I'm saying, like anything you do is going to make some sort of money, as long as you're like slightly smart about it and you are ensuring that you're not spending over too much on certain materials. So the money stuff isn't really a problem. It's just ultimately it's a matter of efficiency, like how fast you can do these things. Yeah, and that's where we're at with this league. I've really have enjoyed this league so far. I think trying to figure out all of these cool little Atlas things, mixed with the build diversity, has been really great in this league. Mixed with like the crazy item crafting. Like if you haven't done, this took about 4 or 5 tries, I want to say. But if you haven't done the item crafting, like I have ideas where we can make some like crazy build enabling items. If they hit, obviously. But yeah, like the crafting mechanic has been great. It's just been a really fun league. I think probably one of the more underrated leagues in a long time. I think really it's not hitting people yet, just the cool shit that's going on in this league in and of itself. And I love the fact that everyone, I think the problem is ultimately, I'm kind of rambling here, I think a lot of people that aren't enjoying the league as much just don't really know. They're just so used to following a streamer and doing whatever they say. Follow this build, do this build this way, and then go farm this way. Now you have to actually put some time and use that game knowledge to try to get ahead of other people. And because everything is so fresh and so new, there's ways to do that now. I've done a couple things already where I'm like, how have people not figured this out? Like, this is crazy. Obviously you're going to need like tough, strong builds to do them, but there's certain things that just aren't figured out yet that I think people need to get into, and that's what makes the league fun for me. And I've been so addicted to this league. It's been such a blast. So yeah, this has been fun. This is where we're at with our Bama. When we start to do another build, I'm getting the itch to make a new build. We do have a headhunter. We do have a mage blood. We have some currency. We have a new atlas. I have some ideas. We have an extremely strong crafting league. So stay tuned if you're interested in like new stuff and trying to figure out fun new mechanics and stuff like that. Because I'll keep them coming.